Are we filming? Yes. Yes, we are. Welcome to another video. Why am I holding up a whole bunch of personal sized binders? All of these are made by Filofax. They vary from one that's current, which is the Heritage Compact, which I like, although I don't like the rings. I do like the design factor. All the way down to, I think this is probably, might even be 60s or 70s, I don't know. But I haven't restored this. But this is the oldest one in this bunch. But I want to talk about ring size and just how useful the personal size is. And for the reason, I've actually packed all my larger binders away because I'm moving. But what I want to talk about is ring size and why we are so blessed to have this choice from a ring size point of view. And I want to chat about why I use the personal size. Let me have a look at these. So this one is a 3CL from the 1980s, and it has 11mm rings. This is a Guildford from the early 2000s, and that has 11mm rings. This one, Imperial measurements, it has 1/2-inch rings, so slightly bigger. I think that works out about 12.5mm, something like that. Here is another Guildford that I've literally just unboxed. Have a look at the mail time. There's good and bad here, but this is also 11mm rings. And this is a mystery because the packaging, so I can't remember which one it is, but on the website, the Filofax website, this is described as 17mm rings. The packaging that comes with it says it's 18mm rings, and I think somewhere else it says it's 16mm rings. But that's the largest one. And then you go to standard more ones that aren't a Slimline. Typically they might be 7/8 if it's a vintage one, or 5/4, that's vintage as well. Or it might be 22mm or 25mm or 23mm or 27mm or 30mm or 35. I don't know what them. I can't remember. Is there one that's 40mm? Who knows? But this is the thing. This is the thing that I love. This Filofax paper is over 40 years. It says copyright 1983. So maybe it's about 40 years old. It's hard to tell because I think when it says C 1993, it didn't say. It doesn't mean they made it in 1983, but the copyright is 1983. But what fascinates me is the fact that this size, which I believe originally was an imperial measurement. Can't remember what it was. I need to measure it in terms of inches. So let me use a Filofax ruler, appropriate enough. Let's just measure it, and it says it measures 3 11/16. Okay, and this way it measures 6 6 11/16 that way, 6 inches 11/16. I don't know who chose this size. There are two sorts of two schools of thought. One is that this size is the original size specified by Filofax back in Philadelphia in 1910. I have read, although I don't know whether it's true, that this size was chosen because, together with the binder, it would fit perfectly, or as close as damn it, into an engineer's pocket in their boiler suit, in their working jacket, working clothes, to go and fix some engineering apparatus. I don't know, but that sounds good. Halfway around the world, Plotter say that this is their Bible size because it's the size of a Bible, and they talk about things from a point of view of going back to the sort of 1913, 1914. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that this 40-year-old piece of paper will fit in this 40-year-old binder, but it will also fit in this binder, which I bought brand new from Filofax in my local John Lewis store 2 or 3 months ago. I love it. And when I because I buy lots of binders, and I take typically I'll take the unused paper out and put it in shoe boxes. Interestingly, and I'm sure this isn't designed because of the size of a shoebox, but if you look at the size of shoeboxes and you fit this, a typical, certainly in the UK, a typical cardboard box containing shoes, that cardboard box is almost magical, the way that you can slip vertically paper in, and that is the height of the shoebox. So if you want to store stuff, just apart from those of you, including me, that use storing stuff as an excuse to buy another binder and store things, if you want to store paper, old diaries from previous years, one of the best and cheapest ways of doing it is just use some treasury tags. Google what treasury tags are. Slip those treasury tags through your binder when you take it out of your binder, and store them in a shoebox. Fabulous. But all this paper, regardless of age, seems to be a perfectly uniform size. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means for me. As you know, I experiment with various systems. That's slightly lopsided, but we'll get there. I have, as you know from recent videos, been experimenting with what I call the triple system, where I have doesn't have to be a plotter. It could be a Filofax or a microfile or something, but a mini-sized 5-ring binder for a diary and as an inbox notebook, spare blank pages, and also to-do lists. And then I have personal size as a project book, where everything is listed in alphabetical order. So I'm looking at my moving house project book, and when I say moving house, it's not specific. There are other things in here as well. It just so happens that so basically I've got van hire. So I'm hiring a van. I'm hiring Skip as well for some rubbish. So that will be S and V, and I've got one for the details of my utility bills, okay, marked U for utilities, and I just fit them. Can I just reveal something? Okay, so So I've got one video list so that I can jot down ideas about future videos, etc. And that will be V. So everything has a specific page that's listed in alphabetical order. And in the same way, we don't need dividers when we're looking things up in a dictionary, because we're well versed in knowing how to find things in alphabetical order. So for me, I don't really use dividers, although I do use a divider here in my diary, where I have got sticking out proud a modified pocket, plastic pocket, which I can just feel with my thumb. And so if I do that, I know that we're on today's date. If I've got it in my left hands, I can do that, and I can see that we're on today's date. So that works really, really well as a divider. And it's the only divider I need in this. And I don't have any dividers in my projects book. But I want to talk about this projects thing, and how it equates to all these slimline binders, all these personal size binders. And that is, at the moment, 11mm is working fine for me. A few weeks ago, I was on 17 or 18mm, and then things quietened down a bit, and I was able to go from here, and I was using it, and the ring size is fantastic, but then I was able to go down from 18mm to 11mm. So what I'm doing, and what I think I'm enjoying the process, is just using my immediate requirements in terms of information at my fingertips. I will get to the point where 11mm is just a little bit tight, you know, and we've all been there, haven't we, with a binder where you think, oh, the pages are a little bit, they're wrapping around a bit. It's just, if only I could have a binder with a little bit more rings, a little bit bigger. And you can with these binders. If things get tight with this 11mm setup, where all my current projects I'm working on at my fingertips are in here, I can go back to this. And then if for some reason it slimmed down a bit, I could maybe go down to 1/2 inch, or I could go and just have 2 slimlines. That is my preference. So you have A to J in here, and then, you know, the rest of the alphabet in here. That works for me. And I have done that, and I have done this. As you can see, doing it like this, where one is stacked opposite the other, and you just fold them like this, actually, it gives, in a bag, gives you much more room than if you fold them like this, where you've got the full height of 2 ring mechanisms here. I mean, that's a lot of space. And then this one is less space, so you can take advantage. I'm not quite sure, but this is 18 plus 11, so that's 29mm of rings, isn't it? You compare that thickness in your bag with say a Norfolk with 30mm. Is it 30mm rings with a Norfolk? You ladies can advise me about that. But this is a more compact way of carrying that much paper, potentially. But the joy is that we can expand and contract according to an individual's needs for paper. And this goes back over 100 years. It goes back to those service engineers in Philadelphia and elsewhere, no doubt, who were decanting. They were decanting information from a drawer, for instance, a metal drawer or a wooden drawer, or maybe a filing cabinet, who knows. The information that they needed specifically to do those tasks. because they wouldn't have room for everything. And I like that. I like the fact that I could go from 11 millimeters to 17 or 18 millimeters, and then back down to 11 millimeters, and then jump to 23 millimeters with a personal size Filofax that is not a slimline one. It's bigger rings. And then if I had an enormous amount of stuff, or suddenly decided I wanted everything in one place, or I decided to change my diary format and go for instead of week on 2 pages, I thought, right, I'm gonna go to day to a page or something. We can do that. We can use this amazing system. I mean, it's not like the greatest invention known to man, but I'll tell you what, it is an invention. And I don't know who created this ring mechanism, because there were other repositionable page ring mechanisms. I've got one where the patent is 1908, which predates all these, but I'll do a video of that at some point in the future, probably when I get to my new place. But I just love the fact that you can certainly for me, having things alphabetical in terms of projects. And what I mean by a project is something where you've got you've got certain things to do and it's greater than just a one line on a to-do list. Both have their merits, but if you like me, like an element of order, then try the alphabetical thing and ditch the dividers, and just enjoy the fact that we can actually have that variety, and as you know, we can buy Filofaxes or other binders very, very cheaply. This one cost me £8. This one cost me £20. I think this cost me quite a stonking £30, which was perhaps a bit too much. This one cost me just over £100 because it came from the other side of the world, which is outrageous, I know, but that's the way it is. I did need it. I'm convincing myself I do need this. Yes, it's not a case of want. I absolutely needed to have this. Yeah, I absolutely needed to. I've convinced myself again. I just need to reassure myself, Neil, you did need this, didn't you? Yeah, I needed it. But there are so many permutations, but the whole thing is, it all goes to this one piece of paper in a standard size. And I'm so grateful to people all through the last 100 years. There must have been people thinking, why don't we go smaller, or why don't we go bigger, because we've got this fantastic wheeze. What we can do is just change the position of the rings. Guess what? That means people have to buy a new binder, or they'll have to buy more paper. And if we do that again, we can force people to chop and change. This happens in the cycle trade, by the way, which I've been involved in for many years. On the either in it or on the edges of it, where they have these wheezes where they will change the tire size, or the wheel size, or the bottom bracket standards. There's more bottom bracket standards than you can shake a stick at. Why are they doing it? Planned obsolescence. And the one thing, I mean, I do moan about things like the poor quality of the leather with some binders, or the poor quality of the rings if they're, or even this plotter that I bought. So I was moaning about the fact these edges were so sharp that they could cut a hole in your pocket of your jacket. So I had to I had to spend time smoothing it down with a file to. But the one thing that I'm very, very grateful for, and this is the critical point, this size of paper, which is very unusual, it's not a standard size available in any other field, has remained the same. The powers that be in the industry have decided that even though they've introduced a mini size, an A4 size, an A5 size, or indeed Plotter. I'm a big fan of Plotter. Did I mention them? They produce a narrow size, which is like this, same height, but 1.5 centimetres narrower, almost like a shopping list. But I might be getting one because I like it. But the thing is, all around the world, there are manufacturers of binders, and they stick to this. They stick to this size, come what may, because they know what's good for them. Well, at least I think they do. But another flight of fancy. 20 minutes is too long, but I just wanted to, I guess, share my enthusiasm for this obscure paper size that has probably, sticking to this has probably saved many people in business or in their personal life a lot of grief, because they've been able to use this one size in binders that go back over 100 years. And you can still buy those binders. It just fits. And I do not know any other industry where you can use consumables in a product designed to be used, but the measurements of those consumables. I mean, even a plug, when you plug in your electricity, you go around the world and there are different pin plugs for different nations, and there's not much compatibility. Even the voltages are different. 110 volts in America, 240 volts in the UK. Probably there are more permutations around the world. Cars, bicycles. When you buy a part for a car now, it's not going to fit other cars. But this one thing, this one piece of paper, hasn't changed, I think, unless you can correct me, since it was sort of specified. The specification was set out by someone, maybe back in the pre First World War. I think that's amazing, really. Anyway, I'm going to stop now, because otherwise I could bang on for this for months, and you won't want me to do that. Thanks very much for watching. Until my next video, goodbye.